This is Barrell Bourbon, batch 34.
And this is the right pour. Let's get into it. Got a lot of caramel on the nose.
Get a lot of older fruit.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. A little bit darker fruit, though. Definitely more of a dark fruit. Man, on the palate, this is really good. This is like high rye, giving you a nice spice, a little bit of oakiness to it, a little bit of vanilla. Again, I'm getting a little vanilla in the back end.
Yeah, like a kind of like a vanilla extract on the back end. You're all right. It's definitely got good legs,
and it lingers. I mean, this has a really good finish. It's got a good linger to it. Really nice finish. I don't know if we can see it, but we got some good legs on this. Some very good viscosity, helping with the mouthfeel. Help that finish really stay. Now, this one is a 6-year aged bourbon blended with Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee, coming in at a 114.62 proof. Really leaning on that 0.62.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to give it all of it. Every little bit they can.
Yeah. You can definitely taste it, though.
And for a 6-year, I mean, it's not super complex, but it's good. You know, it's a little light as well, but it's still got that complexity. But I feel like it's a little young for a 6-year.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, like you said, it's 3 different blends, so we don't know what exactly it's coming from. So
right, we don't know what the mash bill is. I mean, I'm assuming with the Indiana and Kentucky and Tennessee, we got George Dickel, we got MGP, and I'm not going to make any statements on Kentucky, but we have an idea of what it could be.
they're all 130 miles of each other.
I mean, they are all right there, so it's pretty close to what it can't be too hard to figure out, but I'm not going to make an assumption.
Yeah, but it's definitely a good pour. It's
no, this is definitely a solid go-to. I definitely want to try some more batches. I know they recently released 36, I believe, maybe 30. I don't think they got to 37 yet, so I think they're still in 36. So this is 2 batches ago. They've also changed their label, so the 36 will be significantly larger, easier to see on the shelf. I know that. So I would go back to this for sure.
Now, since it's a blend of 3, is all 3 of those exactly at 6-year, or could you have some that's like a 7+, or
they could be higher. So depending on the barrel and the location of which distillery it came from, we can have higher than that, but it has to go by the minimum age. So the youngest barrel is going to be the age statement from here.
Okay, so it's kind of like like how Eagle Rare, it's just bam, it's 10-year or less, or more.
Exactly, and that's they have to go by the minimum age statement. So you could have an 8-year barrel in here, maybe even a 10-year. We don't know. You know, they don't give us that information.
But it is crazy that they were able to blend all 3 together and get that 114 point and some change or something. Like. So it's hard to believe they were able to dial it that good,
right,
that close in there with 3 different blends coming from it together.
Now I don't know if they're trying to aim for that specific ABV, or that proof, or if they cut it down from there. Because let's be honest, I don't really know. It does take so it says cask strength. So if this is a blend here, and it just kind of came out to what it is.
Yeah, and it's definitely it's solid. It's something that when I'm getting every single time when I go back to it, I'm kind of not getting the same thing. I'm getting something different every single time, and it's making me want more of it. Wanting to.
Yeah, like this one, like this sip I just took, that was a vanilla bomb. Like that one just hit me in the face with just tons of vanilla, which I didn't get at first. I mean, that spice is now coming in the back end here, but definitely wasn't like that at first.
Yeah, it because like you said, the first time it was kind of really that's when the ethanol was like it's right up front, very very a lot of spice.
Yep.
Well, then we had like 1 or 2 since then, but then the one I had before you just took one, I got nothing. I got more burn in the throat and stuff, and it's like I don't know if I just didn't let it sit long enough on my palate, but it was still it's very good. It brings something back. Oh, I want to revisit it again and keep trying and going. Because if I am getting something different every single time, I like that. I like a bottle like that where it's kind of that's the one thing you throw around with different stuff. Like like say you get a Jack or a Jim or something like that, you kind of know what you're getting into. But with these, like, of course, I'm getting something that's a higher statement, a higher proof, and it's got that higher proof than I know that's locked in at that, but I can still get something that if I get something different every single time, I kind of like that. I like that it's not like which I like both. I like some bottles where you know what you're going to get every single time.
Yep.
It's kind of like the heart release. I know what I'm getting into.
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
every sip is always it's going to be the same.
Yeah, and I like that, and that's kind of what I consider like a dessert kind of deal, like a dessert bourbon in a way. It's more sweeter and stuff, but like this, with it being a cask strength too, I get something different every single time. I mean, now I'm around that same. I'm still getting the same vanillas and caramels and spices and stuff like that. But like you said, like at one time. A minute ago, you got vanilla extract on the backside, so it's like something different that it's not a boring bottle,
right? I mean, just sitting out here in the couple minutes that we've let it sit in the Glen has just changed it a good bit, little by little. Yeah,
it's not. And the thing is though, like some of them you'll see where they'll sit in the Glen for a while. And it's like, they dial back to hardly nothing. No, in a way, and it's just like it drank so hard to begin with when the ethanol was there, but then now it's gone away. But now with that, you're getting still a lot of. It's like there, and it's like wow, and it's the proof is still there in it.
Yeah, it doesn't dull itself down after sitting around for however many minutes it takes for you to go between pours. Where some you put it down for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, it's like, damn, this is just. It ain't that good no more.
Yeah, and the nose on it also it comes back and it's like very very sweet, and it's very inviting too. It's not like it hasn't completely just like on the palate. It hasn't just dissipated and it's just gone. Like it's there, and you can still like you can sit here if you're sitting around talking like and having a good time. You can still sit there and it's still got a good lingering smell. It's not just because there's some bottles you'll take them and you'll pour them and you're like, you'll get a good smell off of it, and then you'll sit there and it's pretty much it's just there, but you have to like force to try to smell it.
Right.
This one, it's still there. I don't have to stick my nose all the way down into the Glen. I can be above it and hover it and still smell it.
I have basically one sip left, maybe a little bit more. And I mean, it's still got a good dose to it.
Yes. And it's strong too. Even for that little bit of alcohol that's in there, it's still.
It's strong on the ethanol right now. Yeah. I mean, the vanilla is coming back through, and that oakiness smell. But I mean, you got to give it a good swish, good swirl for that one. No, this is good though. This is definitely something that if you see any of the Barrell cask strength bottles, batches, definitely keep giving them a try. That's for sure. I mean, it's a good one. Good go-to.
I don't know. I'm a huge fan of the higher proof stuff, especially the cask strengths. And I've only found one cask strength that I didn't like, and that's hard in my opinion. I just think that it needed to sit longer in the barrel.
Yeah,
that was the only problem with it. That it just needed to sit longer in the barrel. There was nothing wrong with the flavor per se, but it just tasted young.
That was that one that was in a smaller or in a larger barrel that they didn't rest long enough, or was it in a small barrel that was like a short age, like a 2-year in a small barrel?
It was. I think it was a regular sized barrel, but it was one of the like kind of micro distilleries. So it was a mom and pop deal, but it was still like. I feel like in a couple of years they could turn something around. Yep. Like they have good stuff, but what's hurting them, just like a lot of the smaller guys, is that age. They're having to take something to put something out, and it's because they got to make money.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
So, yeah, sometimes they're not aging as long as they can because they do need to make the money. And some distilleries, they figure that out pretty quick and know, like, hey, like this ain't the greatest off the bat, but it will get better.
Yeah, no, and that's what when I talked to the guy about it, it was like it was good, but for the price, it was like $120. I just told him, I said I can't get there.
That's up there. That's
like I can't get there. Like
that's an fairly expensive bottle in my opinion.
Yeah, and the thing is that, and I think it was like a 7-year, and I don't know. It might have been one of them things too, because it kind of was a fresh pop and it was just a small little sample right off the get go. So I wish I could have spent more time and sit there and actually let it open up, get through the bottle maybe, and then maybe be able to get a better opinion. But just what was presented to me at the time, it was not one of those things where I can't justify spending $100 to my wife buying this bottle. You know, so, I mean,
for real, right?
It's
right.
It's not gonna definitely not gonna be one of those that. But I could see that if he could take that same barrel. Or that same barrel or bottle, dump it back in, let it age for another 6 months.
Right.
You never know. I mean, and it was and the thing is, I'm not going to say who it was, but I will say it was a Carolina distillery. So our weather is different in Kentucky or Indiana and stuff like that. It's vastly different. So,
and even a coastal Carolina to the mountains of Carolina is going to be drastically different too. So it all depends.
Yeah.
In the state where that rick house was.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I know where it was. It was at the distillery. That's how small this place was. It's
right.
like the barrels are in the back, and that they are one location, one place. And with it being where it was at, it was it needed more. It just needed a little bit more time.
Yeah,
and because like I said, their other stuff is good stuff, but they need to have more age to it, and that's the only thing. That's the only opinion I'd throw around to it would be just putting more age. So for this, like that was a 7-year. This being a 6-year, or no less than a 6-year.
Right, no less than a 6-year.
No less than a 6-year. It definitely has what it takes to spend that sub $50-$80.
I don't remember what I spent on it, but it was sub 80.
Yeah,
that's for sure. It was sub 80.
What I'm saying is like that right there is like it's justified in that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, I'll sway $20 in terms of like looking after a local like or small family owned place.
Yep.
But like I said, we weren't there on that.
Right.
But this one, I can justify that $80. That if I had something looking for something unique and different, that also I could take somewhere, show it that I think. This would classify into a bourbon man's drink in a way, like because it's got enough of those different characteristics that even if somebody didn't like one thing about it, I think they'll find something they do like about it.
And they may not want to buy that bottle afterwards, but they're not going to hate you for bringing that pour either.
Yeah,
they're going to be like, hey, that was a good pour. Thank you for bringing it, but I may not want that bottle. But it was a good. It was a good share.
Yeah, it's not going to be no rock gut whiskey. So it's not. It's definitely going to be something that is.
And with them having 36 badges now, you think they have it figured out pretty well. They going after the profile that they want as well. So
yeah, too. And the thing is, which is kind of funny, what I've learned from just a little bit of like when I went to Kentucky and stuff is like. Even they have 4 different seasons.
Yep.
Like
drastically different.
4 different seasons. So
true seasons.
From what I've learned with the distilleries down here in the Carolinas, is we're pretty much like we're 2. So it's either scorching hell hot or it's like
pretty
freezing.
Cold.
Like it's like now and it's like almost snowing outside. So.
It is. I mean, my steps to the house are frozen. That does not help down here in the Carolinas, let's be honest.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
That is a rarity. So,
but it's like that difference that they can get. So, like I was saying, like even though we have 3 different blends, that one blend that was in Kentucky or something like that, we don't know. Like I said, we don't know where it come from. It could, like, say they get that same batch barrel, whatever they're going off of in the springtime.
Yep.
That's what's in this one, which we don't know. You could get something that's from the winter that might maybe throw something different, but these guys have really dialed in how that blend would be, so they're able to figure out something that if they could get this, like I said, if we get I don't know, it's expensive, but if we one day maybe get our hands on another one, we could take them side by side, see if we could tell the difference in the yield.
Yeah, I mean, I could have picked one up today. Where I got my single barrel pick from today. I always frequent that store, which we will get into that store in a later episode. But they have them there regularly. They are starting to not come around as much. The distributor's not doing so good, but they're at least available. So, I mean, we could always pick up another one and review that. And I think they have 35 right now. I don't think they have 36. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing, too, you can throw. And that's just like the thing I like about this one is it's not because I love single barrels. So like
You and me both. That's like
I love single barrels.
That's our thing.
So then that's going to be like you get what you get, and that's the only time you're going to get it.
Yep.
So
For real.
So if they can and this, in my opinion, this would rank up there with a single barrel in a way for just how like unique it is.
Right.
So if they were able to have dialed that in and
Oof, it's quiet with the AC off now.
Yeah, when they're able to dial that in and get this sort of same but also unique with every single taste in one pour, then they're on to something.
Exactly. I mean, when you got the master blenders that they have here, you could definitely tell that they're getting into something good with it for sure. So definitely gonna think it's a bottle that everyone should be picking up, or let a friend give it to you first.
I think it's one that both. Ain't no wrong with don't ever pass up a free bottle of whiskey.
That is for sure. Even if it's Jack or Jim Beam honey.
Yes, and you won that.
I did. Thanks, Cole. I don't know if you're the one who gifted it.
I think it was Garrett.
I think it was.
Garrett
but it was at Cole's house. So,
but I definitely would definitely assume that this would definitely classify as, in my opinion, I don't know about yours, but I would say this would be a right pour.
This is definitely a right pour.
Definitely a right pour.